Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with another episode of Total Breakdown. This one was sent in by TlaxtlanSoothsayer as he leads the Bretonnians to battle against Vikingcat's empire in the Questing Cup hosted by Ninjahund and Safoti. Let this amazing battle add to your excitement for Bretonnia coming later on this month. On the topic of excitement, I'm excited to tell you that this video is sponsored by Humble Bundle, specifically for Humble Monthly. So, before we dive in, I just want to let you know that if you or some of your friends haven't yet bought Total War Warhammer, you can get it immediately if you subscribe to Humble Monthly before the 3rd of March around 10 AM PST. Now, you'll also receive with that the next bundle, of course. If you don't already know, Humble Bundle is a monthly subscription service where you pay $12 a month to get over $100 worth of curated games and sort of exclusive Humble originals to keep, of course. And subscribers also get 10% off the Humble store purchases, for example, all the Total War DLC that you want. Now, you can cancel at any time, but 5% of your fee does go to charity, and if you use the link in the description below or under the eye at the top right corner of the screen, you support charity and this channel. So, if you don't already have the game, or you know some friends who want it but haven't bought it just yet, this is a great way and time to get it and the DLC. And the Humble Bundle always has some really great games. Last month there were over $170 worth of games, including XCOM 2, Abzu, Rise, Son of Rome, and more. So, with that aside, let's go on to the battle, starting with composition. Bretonnia brings Luen Leoncoeur in charge alongside a damsel, 4 units of spearmen at arms, 4 units of men at arms with pole arms, 4 units of peasant bowmen ranked up to rank 1, 2 units of Grail Knights, and a unit of Pegasus Knights. The Empire is led by an Arc Lector alongside a Jade Wizard, a Light Wizard, 3 units of Spearmen, 2 ranked up to rank 1, 4 units of Swordsmen ranked up to rank 1, Sigmar's Sons, Stirland's Revenge, the Silver Bullets, a unit of Demigryph Knights, the Royal Altdorf Griffites, and 2 units of Mortars, 1 ranked up to rank 1. Alright, first things first, we're going to look at the layouts, and from Bretonnia, we actually have a layout off to the side here, not trying to take advantage of this hill or anything. They want to be very aggressive. So we've got a front line of the Spearmen at Arms with shields. Right behind them we have the Peasant Bowmen in actually 2 separate groups here. Then at the back we have the Men at Arms with pole arms, as well as the Grail Knights, and off to the side here, the Pegasus Knights. So 3 sort of layers over here, softer at the front and a lot more sort of heavy hitting at the back here. Pegasus Knights off to the side, as well as the Grail Knights over here, able to sort of go around, perform any flanking maneuvers as they wish, and of course Leoncoeur as well, able to fly in as necessary. Now over here, the Empire has a slightly more let's call it an involved layout. Off to the left flank over here, the Swordsman and Sigmar's Son alongside the Spearmen here provide some coverage on this side in case anything wants to come in from the left. Meanwhile, off to the right we have a couple of Swordsmen as well as a couple of Spearmen here, able to push in and block off this entry point as well. Then back here, hidden in the woods, we've got the Royal Altdorf Griffites as well as the Demigryph Knights. Up front, hidden in the woods, we have Stirland's Revenge in case something decides to come scouting in. And of course we have the Mortars as well as the Silver Bullets in the center here, easily defended by the Arc Lector and the Light Wizard, the Jade Wizard, and you know, any sort of, well, if anything comes flying in, it'll be clamped down pretty quickly. Now, the Mortars actually open fire almost right away, and they are targeting the Peasant Bowmen. That is a solid target. These guys are easily broken and destroyed, so trying to get some shots off and get some damage in there nice and early, and you'll see a couple of these hits do connect quite well, and already seeing that morale damage right away. So good targeting there, trying to shut down that ranged fire before it even comes in range. And over here, the Pegasus Knights, you'll see they do fly in just to maybe get a scout out. They see these knights pouring out, and perhaps deciding that that's enough information, perhaps figuring that that's everything that could be hidden, and they turn away before they actually spot Stirland's Revenge. So a little unfortunate there. Had they moved just maybe a handful of feet further even, they would have spotted these guys and then peeled away. But nonetheless, they've seen, I figured, what they want to see, and they're now peeling off to the side, able to position themselves for some flanking maneuvers for later on. Meanwhile, the mortar fire continues into those Peasant Bowmen, and you'll see a fair amount of damage being done, and Leoncoeur comes in this way, perhaps to get some scouting done of his own, or just to, you know, provide a threat. Meanwhile, you'll see the Light Wizard drops. the net of a Mintok, and this was a poor cast. Now, not only was it the net cast far too early for any effective use, it was also upgraded. So this is actually overcast, using a lot of Winds of Magic, and the Silver Bullets as well as Sterling's Revenge are just out of place right now. They actually have to rotate and move forward before either of them are in range and able to open fire on Leon Kerr. So this was a really bad cast, a waste of Winds of Magic here, unfortunately, but understandable, wanting to shut down Leon Kerr nice and early. In some ways, it would have actually been better to let Leon Kerr come in, try his luck against something or the other, net him down then, and then shut it all down with the Royal Altdorf Griffites and the Demigryph Knights. So there were better options here, so just a little unfortunate there. You'll see, meanwhile, the Peasant Bowmen taking a lot of hits, but they are continuing to charge down the field. They really want to... maybe the taxes are too high, so they'd rather be dead than paying taxes, but they're still willing to stick on the battlefield. And you'll notice as the Bretonnian army is pushing down the field, for some reason, and I'm not sure if there was a plan here, but these men-at-arms with polearms are being left behind. They're sort of ordered up front here, and these guys are ordered up front here, so maybe some poor management there, or maybe he was worried about something coming in from the flanks, maybe some vanguard deployment coming in from the rear or something, but... these guys really should have been pushed forward right away, one way or the other, but sort of slowing down there. And these Pegasus Knights, you'll notice, not really getting too much done, just hovering over there for quite a while now. They could have been sent in just to provide some sort of threat. Understandable, though, if it was more a sort of a concern of this sort of massive glob of Empire units. And over here, you'll notice a couple of shots do go off towards Leon Kerr, not doing too much damage. He is netted in place, so a couple of shots, obviously, they are able to land. But before Sterling's Revenge even gets close enough to open fire, Leon Kerr is able to turn around, and of course that volley does come through, does a little bit of damage, but that health will be regenerated without any real cause for concern. And the mortar continues to fire. The Empire really satisfied with their positioning here, but the Peasant Bowmen start opening fire, just taking vengeance for the lost brethren, opening fire on the mortar as well as on the backs of these swordsmen. Now these swordsmen, as they are pulling back from the front, these arrows are hitting them in their backs, so their shields aren't being used right now. So good eye. They're waiting until they pulled back before opening fire, so a lot of those arrows are going to cause a decent amount of damage, and also targeting the mortar just to shut it down, because of course that can fire throughout the entire battle. They have a very high arc, so they are a dangerous unit even when lines meet. So a little bit of adjusting going on here. You'll notice that the Empire is sort of spreading out a little bit more and maybe pulling off to the side here as well in case the Pegasus Knights decide to come in from this side. And another unfortunate cast of the net. Now, this one is better than the previous one, so Leon Kerr gets netted over here. The Silver Bullets are able to open fire instantaneously, but Sterling's Revenge still has to move quite a ways before it can open fire. So another unfortunate waste of Winds of Magic there. That is an overcast net. It manages to hold down these Spearmen at Arms as well, but they're not really in motion right now. So again, just an unfortunate cast there. Maybe a little cagey, a little nervous about what Leon Kerr might be doing, trying to rush in some of that damage, but really not the ideal moment to do that. Meanwhile, the Peasant Bowmen continuing to open fire into some of these Spearmen now, as well as the ranged units. The Silver Bullets and Sterling's Revenge are high threat units, so you'll see the Silver Bullets are taking quite a bit of a beating from range here. A lot of arrows coming in and killing quite a few of them, so good call there. Again, trying to shut down that range support, and you'll notice over here the Pegasus Knights, instead of committing into anything, instead of diving in and like shutting down the mortar over here or coming in and shutting this one down over here, decides to back away. So not really sure what the thought is there. And you'll notice these men-at-arms with polearms ended up staying back there, so they're quite far away, and now they're being rushed forward. And over here, these men-at-arms with polearms just standing stationary. Not sure if he's concerned of some hidden cavalry unit coming in from the side here, wanting to block off the entry into the rears, but really these guys could have pushed up the hill and engaged some of these units over here, and that would force the Empire to fight on two fronts and can really cause a lot of disarray, especially when there are ranged units involved. The Empire's going to have to pick which flank is more important, and that can ultimately destroy your opponent. Now over here, you'll notice as the swordsmen and Sigmar's sons come charging down, the Spearmen at Arms need to respond to keep the Peasant Bowmen safe, and they do so just in time. So the Spearmen at Arms alongside the Grail Knights dive in and get a decent amount of damage into the swordsmen and Sigmar's son, so well played there. But over here, these Grail Knights, they should have just been allowed to go a little bit further around to get a rear charge as opposed to this side charge, it would do a lot more leadership damage. So just a little bit of a mismanagement there. Not the end of the world. Good amount of damage done there. So good job responding to that incoming charge. And you'll notice over here now the Demigryph Knights and the Royal Altdorf Gryphites moving in. This cavalry threat needs to be taken care of ASAP, and still those men-at-arms up there not doing anything, and the Pegasus Knights as well not doing anything. Meanwhile, the Arc Lector does drop the Grand Hammer of Sigmar, the Grand Shield of Faith, and as well as that, the Faith's Bastion. So doing whatever possible to try and hold this front line, strengthening melee attack, strengthening, reducing sort of damage being taken in. So, using all those abilities to good effect over here. And you'll notice the Grail Knights actually pull away almost instantaneously. They do their initial damage and then they pull away. And over here as well, these Grail Knights as well, in a moment they're going to pull away, trying to maybe bait the Demigryph Knights and the Royal Altdorf Gryphites into the Men-at-Arms and the Spearmen-at-Arms. So good move there. Will take a lot of damage. And over here now, the Pegasus Knights do come flying in, but again, just not really engaging anything here, considering hitting the silver bullets down here. So good call, finally getting those Pegasus Knights involved, but for some reason deciding not to. Not really sure what the thought was there, but it's a little unfortunate because that would really help shut down this battle a lot more quickly. And over here we've got the Curse of the Midnight Wind going down. Great cast from the Damsel, making sure that the effectiveness of the Empire's troops is severely reduced. So that Curse of the Midnight Wind is going to do a lot of work. Meanwhile, the General of the Empire is diving in, maybe to scare off some of these Demigryph Knights. The Grail Knights also coming in. These Grail Knights as well could have been sent in and around, just to shut down the silver bullets, or come further up here and maybe shut down the Light Wizard, or even the artillery up there. Obviously, a couple of risky plays. These spearmen kept back there to keep the artillery safe, but perhaps it would have been better to send one or two of those units down here just to assist in the front line. Now, as this goes on, you'll notice the peasant bowmen are firing at all high-value targets here, whether they are ranged units or they are Demigryph Knights and Altdorf Gryphites. Great use of the peasant bowmen here, making sure everything is sharing in that pain. And you'll see the mortar continues to cause hurt to these peasant bowmen, but these guys are able to stay and fight, not breaking as easily as one might expect. And finally, we have a great charge coming in from the Pegasus Knights, doing a decent amount of damage to the Royal Altdorf Gryphites. So finally the Pegasus Knights are seeing some action, and now you'll see Leon Kerr here as well, going in, diving into to the silver bullets, trying to get some damage in there and trying to crush them. And finally these spearmen are being put into action. You'll see two of them heading down this way because the front is faltering. If this left flank, as seen from the Empire side, if this left flank falls, that is it for the Empire. And you'll see the Demigryph Knights are under fire. They are being hit by Pegasus Knights and Grail Knights, and Leon Kerr now flying away into some safety, getting shot at, and he does drop the Sword of Couron. And unfortunately, I mean, for a moment, that the Sword of Couron is active on these Demigryph Knights, and that might be what shifted them into routing as opposed to continuing to fight. But unfortunately, he does need to be kept safe from all this ranged fire, so he continues to move away, and no longer is he able to provide any support with the Sword of Couron. So that is unfortunate, because that is a great ability, does a lot to armor and enemy melee defense. So it is unfortunate that he was unable to use the Sword of Couron effectively. Now, finally, these men-at-arms with polearms have been shifted. They are being pulled in. I still think it would have been wise to send them up the hill over here and shut down some of these units. A 2-on-1 engagement between these men-at-arms with polearms and these spearmen would destroy the spearmen, possibly shut down the Light Wizard, and kill the mortar. So those units could have been much better used and utilized. Now onwards we go into full speed. You'll see the left flank has fallen, and now the Grail Knights and the Pegasus Knights are able to just push in. You'll see Stirland's Revenge more or less giving up instantaneously. They have to retreat. The spearmen coming in to help. Finally, they are able to sort of pin down the enemy cavalry there, so Bretonnia does have to pull back a little bit, and you'll notice instantaneously, very good reaction there, pulling them away right away, and the men-at-arms with polearms are able to hold their ground against these spearmen and cause a decent amount of damage. Now again, you'll see another Curse of the Midnight Wind does go down, so continuing to provide momentum to the Bretonnian peasants up front, and you'll see here the Pegasus Knights finally being sent in against the Stirland's Revenge. Back here, the Grail Knights shutting down the Royal Altdorf Gryphites, making sure that they cannot return. So just at the edge of the map here, shutting them down, make sure they either leave the battlefield or completely die away. Back here in the meanwhile, the men-at-arms with polearms still just standing steady, looking pretty. They should have been sent in right away. If not from this angle, then at least from this angle, because even though right now the momentum seems to be in Bretonnia's favor, some of these units can fall apart very quickly, and if that was to happen, it could very quickly change the tide of battle. You'll see the balance of power is still pretty much in the center there, so these guys should have been sent in a lot earlier. They finally are ordered forward, and thank God for that, because otherwise that would be the end for Bretonnia if anything went wrong up front here. And meanwhile, the Grail Knights, they're done dealing with the Royal Altdorf Graphite, so they are being sent in to finish off Sterling's Revenge. They come in from the side here. They're going to do a decent amount of damage alongside the Pegasus Knights, shutting that range support down completely. Very well played there, and the mortars continue to fire into the Peasant Bowmen, but they have some solid resolve. They want to fight. They want to bring glory for Leoncoeur, and you'll see here the Grail Knights continue to push up the field, push up the hill, sorry, and they have the opportunity here to shut down this unit of mortars, but they decide to keep pushing forward, afraid of these spearmen perhaps, and I suppose rightfully so, but at this stage a little bit of damage on these mortars could really fold the battle for the Empire. Now over here you'll notice as well the Grail Knights being used to sort of get in a rear charge over here into the Sigmar's Sons and the Swordsmen. Great move there, causing a lot of damage. Unfortunately, Sigmar's Sons, of course, unbreakable, so they're not going to just fall apart and give up, but that can't be said for your regular swordsmen, who are terrified. Leoncoeur here dives in, bringing the terror in with him, but not a safe bet fighting the Arc Lectra right now. Very low on health, so you want to make sure that you don't put yourself in such a risky situation. If Leoncoeur were to die right now, some of these Peasant Bowmen would be more or less shattered. The men-at-arms might start to shatter here as well, and it could cause a mass rout, so you want to be very careful. Now, on the topic of men-at-arms, these men-at-arms with polearms, they are creeping up the hill here, able to engage these spearmen, shut down the mortar unit here, and that allows these Grail Knights to come up with some sense of security. So, great move there. A wonderful pincer ultimately taking place on this hilltop. Now, back to full speed over here. You'll see some of these Peasant Bowmen, again, very close to giving up. Leoncoeur still willing to go toe-to-toe with the Arc Lector. Very, very dangerous, but you'll notice we do see Foe Seeker go down just to help counter some of that vigor, and the Grand Shield of Faith trying to keep the Arc Lector alive as well. Very risky play here. Meanwhile, up here, you'll see the Grail Knights, they do get stuck in with the Light Wizard a little bit, which is unfortunate, because without a doubt, I think the target was these Spearmen, just to get rid of them once and for all. A good rear charge will do that, and you'll see in just a minute that does take place. Meanwhile, the Peasant Bowmen from all angles now opening fire into this clump, shutting down the Spearmen, shutting down Sigmar's Sons, and a really big mistake here. If these swordsmen were just brought back into the fray, these Peasant Bowmen would have been very quickly taken care of, or if they'd been sent here, it would take them a little longer to get there, but 3 units over here would, well, so a couple of things would happen. These 3 units would definitely start to die and falter, and these 2 units would be potentially shattered. So really unfortunate play there. If these swordsmen had just been sent down over here, a lot could have changed in this last minute, and over here you'll see the Grail Knights do get that charge in, and look how quickly the spearmen up there decide they don't want to be fighting anymore. So very good charge there, ultimately getting them from the rear. Spears, well, need to point at the incoming charge, and unfortunately that's not how your back works. So the Grail Knights get a decent amount of damage in there. The men-at-arms with polearms able to finish them off at this point, and quickly they retreat, making sure they don't get stuck in melee combat for too long. And ultimately, this is where I would say the Empire's well, days are numbered, however you want to put it, but very well played by Bretonnia to make sure systematically everything is destroyed. Now back here you'll see the Pegasus Knights is finishing off Sterling's Revenge and the Silver Bullets, making sure they're not able to come back and cause some of that morale damage that ranged units can do. Over here, of course, the Swordsmen, terrified, trying to get out of there, but more likely to get killed, actually. The Jade Wizard as well starting to give up. No use of the Lore of Life there when there's only a handful of units left all around. Everyone is starting to rout. A couple of these units willing to return into the fray, but really in no position to cause too much damage. And finally, this last unit of mortars does get shut down by the Grail Knights and the Pegasus Knights, making sure they're not able to open any of those last-minute shots off anymore. The Arc Lector just needs to be taken care of. Very risky still keeping Leoncoeur in there, but at this point, the battle is more or less won for Bretonnia. Of course, you do want Leoncoeur to survive. It's just, you know, for the purpose of glory. But really, if the Empire wanted to win at this point, they'd have to go a very long way. These swordsmen would have to run up here to try and take care of some of these peasant bowmen and maybe instigate a mass rout, but instead we have it going the other way around, with the Arc Lector quickly being taken care of, swarmed as you can see over here. That spells the end for the Empire and a victory for Bretonnia. And I will say that it was really a great battle with some pretty major mistakes from both sides. Ultimately, though, one was able to overcome those early errors and obtain a victory. Bretonnia really shows its strength here, able to outmaneuver and crush some extremely high-value enemy units while using magic to maintain the front lines, getting rear charges in there, and using, again, mobility of those Pegasus Knights. They could have been better used, absolutely. The Grail Knights could have been better used as well, but at the end of the day, TlaxtlanSoothsayer, with Leoncoeur in charge, takes Bretonnia to victory. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content and keep submitting your battle replays. I've said it many times, I think it's one of the best ways to learn, and I love seeing competitive Total War play. Thank you guys very much for watching. Don't forget to check out the Humble Monthly link in the description below, and I'll see you on the battlefield.